Okay, so The Game of Thrones by George Martin. And if you realize this is called The Clash of Kings, you're right. I read the first book as an audiobook, getting the mic closer. Yeah, and the second one I'm just like halfway through, but I'm not going to review this one. I'll review the first book instead. Oh boy. This is kind of a weird one to review because everybody and their mom and their grandma has read this book and everybody loves it. I love it too. For the longest time, I was avoiding watching the TV show, and this is where I went wrong. I wish I did not watch the TV show before reading the first book. I was so delighted, surprised, and slightly disappointed that the book and the TV show, at least for the first season, is almost exactly one to one, line by line. I was so surprised that how accurate the first season of Game of Thrones was to the first book, where I really felt like I was watching the TV show again. And because I watched it as a TV show first, I had the hardest time ever removing the imagery of the TV show out of my head to enjoy the book as it is. So it's almost in a weird way, I did not enjoy the book as much as I should have because I already knew everything that was going to happen. I already had the imagery in my mind. Like every single chapter was basically just an episode from the TV show in my head when I was imagining what the book was like. Because I'm a very visual reader. I love to, visualize it in my head while I'm reading. So I feel really bad. I genuinely should have stopped myself from watching the TV show until I read the first book. My mistake, my bad. That said, amazing characters. Ned Stark has to be one of my favorite characters of all time. I genuinely wish he survived longer. Oopsie, spoilers. It's okay. The TV show has been out forever now. But for example, recently, after I read the Game of Thrones books, I read A Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and there's a character in that book named Gullinar, and they are just like one-to-one characters almost. I genuinely felt like Ned Stark was Galinar. And why am I bringing this up? Because in that book, this character survives much longer than Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. And I just wish he survived a bit more longer. I really enjoy. I know some people say characters who are always morally right are great, are like bad characters, or they're like boring characters. But I don't care. I enjoyed everything about his character. He's just this guy with so much honor and he wants to make everything right. But then he, of course, learns it the hard way that in this world, sometimes, or in the world of George Martin, sometimes doing the right thing is not the best response to the situation. That said, I really enjoyed Arya. Sansa was enjoyable, despite what happens with her in the TV show, which I don't like, but I'm not bringing that up right now. Um, Catelyn is great. Catelyn is great. In many ways, she's like the perfect character. Because, yeah, she has the honor of Ned Stark, but at the same time, she has some other characteristics that make her a more complex character, such as her affection to, and not, well, her hatred towards Jon Snow. Just makes her a much more, I guess, interesting character. There's more depth to her. She's not just this flat faced character. The first book was such a breeze. Everything with Daenerys was so much fun. Everything with I kind of forgot what they're called, the barbarians that Daenerys is married off to. They are also fun to read about. Just everything was great. Again, my only regret, I wish I read the book before I saw the TV show. So I almost, even though I'm reading through the second book and I want to finish it this year, I'm almost considering not like reading these books for the next couple of years, just so I can kind of forget the TV show, because my memory sucks. I'll forget it either way. Just so I can forget the TV show and then I can come back and experience the books. And that will be, I feel like, a much nicer experience because I would, remember stuff that I've forgotten. Such a great writing style. I did not expect this to be like by character perspective chapters. I don't know why I had the impression it was going to be third person telling of the story. But actually, I really prefer this. Each chapter is a character. I really like that, and I'm actually this book like makes me want to read more books like that, where it's like people's perspective and not necessarily first person or third person. Because it just so happens I haven't read much books with character perspectives before. Some, not a lot. Well, that was it. Game of Thrones. Awesome. Thank you so very much for watching. Have a good one.